So, the Canon Pro300 or the Canon Pro200? Which one would I buy? Hello and welcome to this Fotospeed video with me, Tim Jones. And today what I'll be doing, I've been very fortunate to be given the Canon Pro300 and also the Pro200. So I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison and a printer battle, if you will, as to which one I think is best and also which one produces the best prints and the differences between the two and why you may prefer one over the other. But before we dive into all that, please don't forget to subscribe and also give us the thumbs up as well. And also stick around to the end of the video because we have an amazing discount code that'll give you 15% off Fotospeed papers on photospeed.com. Okay, so with no messing around today, let's dive in and find out the differences between the Canon Pro300 and the Canon Pro200. Okay, so the first difference is the ink. The Canon Pro300 has a 10 ink pigment-based Lucia Pro ink. Now, this will give you perfect prints and archival prints. It has the two greys in there as well, so it gives you perfect black and white prints. Now, it really is a great option if you want to sell your prints or you want to produce fine art giclée prints that are going to last well over 100, 150 years on the right papers. This is the printer for you. Now, if we compare that to the Pro200, now that has a dye base ink set as well, and it has a couple of less inks as well. It doesn't have a chrome optimizer in either, so that could cause some problems. Now, it has an 8 ink dye set in here. Now, these are the Chroma Life 100 Plus, which basically means that Canon say that their dye inks will last over 100 years if you store the prints in the right conditions, be it in an album or in a print box, basically somewhere where the light can't actually access it very easily, and you're only exposing it to UV light very occasionally. So also they do say that if you framework and have it on display, use museum glass with its UV protection in there, because that will protect the print. And if you've got it on display, not in direct sunlight, it will last well over 40 years. So the dye inks used to be, they fade very quickly, but with these inks now, they are a little bit better. Now, saying that, I still wouldn't put a dye ink print in the window in bright sunshine, because I think after a week or even 2 weeks, I think it would start to fade and you would start to lose the colour. Now, with both of these printers, I have to talk about the size of the ink cartridges. Now, it is one of the things on the Pro 10S and the Pro 100S that these two printers replaced. That was a little bit of a niggle for me. It had tiny little cartridges and you only had to look at them and they'd run out. The same is the same with these printers as well. They've put those tiny 14mm cartridges in, which I think I would have liked to have seen a bit bigger ones, perhaps the 26mm like they do, like the Epsons do. So that's a bit of a niggle for me with these printers. It's probably more psychological because we're replacing the ink cartridges more, so we think we're using more ink, but actually we've only got half the amount in there. And when I looked at the prices for this video, it works out about £1.30 a mil, which is about the same as Epson's. Now, the other difference is the Pro200 does not have a matte black. It only has one black. So that could cause us problems when we're printing on matte papers. Now, it could make our blacks look a little bit kind of wishy-washy, I suppose, and not as intense. Whereas the Pro300 has the full set, those 10 inks in there, and it has the matte black in there for those matte papers. So we're going to get a deeper black. In theory, we're going to test this in a minute, in theory on the Pro300. Also, as I mentioned earlier, it has a chrome optimizer on there, which basically puts a clear layer over the top of your print, and it stops what's called gloss differential or bronzing coming through. Again, it's a nice feature, and it is nice to have it in there, and you very rarely on Canon printers see gloss differential. So to be honest though, I'm probably not likely to see it on the 200. We'll have a look, but I'm not likely to see it actually on the prints themselves. Those are really the two differences. The box is pretty much the same, as you can see. I would say the Pro200 has a bit of a shiny top because it is part of what they call the Pixma range, or the kind of amateur semi-pro kind of range, whereas the Pro300 has the matte top and the matte shine to the top, which is part of the Image Prograph range, which is their pro range. Apart from that though, I mean, it looks like the same buttons, they look like they've got the same things, they're the same size, they're the same weight. The only difference really is the ink set. The menus are the same as well. I've been through and had a look, they look exactly the same. The media types, the drivers all look very similar to each other. You can select the same media types on both printers. There's no limitations in that sense. And all the functionality is pretty much the same. It's just those ink sets. So if you want a dye-based printer or a Pro300 printer. And that comes down to what you're going to be doing with your prints. Like I said at the start, if you're going to be selling your prints and you want that fine art feel, then the Pro300 is going to be for you. However, if you wanted prints that just everyday prints or entering competitions occasionally with big, strong, vibrant colour, then the Pro200 will be absolutely fine. I know many fine art photographers that print using dye inks because of that intensity of colour they get. So there is kind of an argument for both. However, I wanted to have a look at some prints and actually see in the real world, getting off the fact sheets that Canon put on their website, actually see what these differences are in practice and which I would choose and which I would kind of be pushed towards for my own personal work and my own personal kind of feelings on this as well and what we're doing. So I'm going to make some prints. I've chosen just two papers today. So I'm going to be using the Platinum Brighter and the Platinum Cotton. So Platinum Cotton is a non-OBA paper. So it's quite a warm base and it's a matte paper. And the Platinum Brighter is kind of our go-to with the tests really, so that nice intense black. I've also picked my lovely flower image that you've probably seen in other videos as well. Should kind of demonstrate the colour rendition of both of these printers. And also I've picked a black and white of the Brooklyn Bridge, I believe it is. That will give me lovely grey tones and black tones to see how both these printers perform on black and white as well. Now, I know Sam has done some tests on the Pro300, so we know that that printer can produce perfect black and whites. But I'm also really interested to see how the black and whites come out on the Pro200, because it does have the same amount of grey inks as the Pro300. So in theory, although they're dye-based inks, in theory it should produce perfect black and whites as well. So I'm interested to see kind of how that performs, and also on different papers as well. Now, to make this a fair fight, I've made custom profiles for both printers and both papers, so we can compare kind of the similar to make it nice and fair. Also, though, I will use the black and white mode of both of these printers to see if there's any difference in there. I do know just from printing on it at the weekend, a little event I was at, the Pro300 does produce perfect black and whites using the black and white mode. So I'm really interested to see if the 200, which I haven't actually had much time with, to be honest. So I'm almost discovering it along with you. So let's make some prints and we'll see actually how the prints have come out and yeah, which one I would pick. Okay, let's dive in and make some prints. Okay, so I've made some prints and let's start with the matte paper, because I think that is where I'm quite interested to see how the 200 compares to the Pro300. Now I've got the flower pictures first of all. Now these are from the Pro200, so I'm really interested to see how these have come out. Now the colour on the Platinum Brighter here is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's vibrant, it's rich, we've got a lovely colour in there, which is what I'd expect from a dye-based machine. I think that I'd be surprised if it didn't come out like this, to be honest. Also, a big surprise to me, I say big surprise, probably not as much, but was the Platinum cotton paper, because the colours have actually come out really nicely on here as well. Now, like I said, it's a slightly warmer base of paper, so that can mute colours a little bit, but actually the dye inks in the Pro200 has done absolutely fantastically. Now, when I compare this to the Pro300, the prints are pretty much very similar, to be honest. I can't really see a lot of difference. I have to say though, the brighter print here on the Pro200 is a lot more vibrant. It really does. The colours really do pop and they come off the page. Not a lot of difference in the matte print, but the Pro200 for colour really does push that kind of vibrancy, shall we say, that is in the print. So a little bit of a win for the 200 there. But again, I probably would expect that with a dye-based machine because of the dye inks. They just give that lovely vibrant. So what I've done is I've printed off a black and white using the Pro300 here, and it has given me beautiful neutral print. Now, when I compare that to a print using the Pro200, there is a little bit of magenta in it. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. We'll do some close-ups. Now, it almost looks like the Pro200 is lovely and neutral, to be honest. It's got a nice grey, but it does have a slight blue tinge to it. So there's a little bit of blue and also a little bit of magenta in here. So it's not working perfectly for black and whites, which I was a little bit surprised by, to be honest, because it's got those grey inks in there. So I redid the profile for it because I thought, well, there's going to be something going on in here. And actually, I got pretty close or similar result. Now I got pretty similar results, I have to say. So there's something not quite going on there. So what I did though, is I printed this on the Platinum cotton. And I have to say, on the matte paper with the custom profile, it actually did a really good job. So that got me thinking again that it was probably the custom profile that was causing me problems. And it actually has come pretty close to the Pro300's print here. So I went back again and redid the profile and worked really hard on it, to be honest, that sometimes, as I always say to people, colour management can be an exact science, but sometimes there's a little bit of grey area. And I was just having one of those days, I think, because when I redid the profile, and for some reason I didn't do anything different, just rescanned it, and it came out a little bit better. And it came out a bit more neutral. And for some reason, that magenta had kind of gone there. So I'm not really sure what's going on. But I always like to tell people, if any of you see me speak, all the problems you have, I have as well. So there's a big example of me having the same problems everyone else has there. I'm still not sure what went on. I still haven't got to the bottom of it. But I wanted to be completely honest in this video and kind of say that I was struggling a little bit with those. So actually, the black and white capabilities are really good. The brighter looks great, the black looks great. I haven't been let down by the lack of matte black either. I was a bit surprised. I would say it's very slightly flatter, I have to say, on matte paper, the 200 compared to the 300. Hand on heart, I suppose the black is a little bit deeper when you compare it to the 300. But it's been impressive. The black and white mode as well, for me, it came out with that a little bit of blue. It came out a little bit too blue, to be honest. But did a great job. There's still a cast in it though on the Pro200. So for me, I'd probably always use that custom profile and make sure it's right. Now I think, but the printers did well. I think the benchmark is always going to be the Pro300 because that does the color fantastically and also the black and white capabilities amazingly as well. But the 200 I think performed really well for a printer that costs about £300 less. I think it's great. I think with a little bit of work on those custom profiles, like I've proved, trying to get those black and whites, it really did kind of live up to their expectations. It gave a nice black on the brighter, fell down a little bit on the matte with that tiny little bit of black, kind of less compared to the 300. So where the Pro200 really kind of comes into its own is colour and the vibrancy it gives on the page. I mean, the 300 struggles to get to that level of vibrancy. However, with the 300, with those pigment inks, you are getting that archivability and that security that your prints are going to last well over 100 years without any special kind of work being done to them and kept them in a box under your bed, etc. So there is that. Also, the Pro300 does beautiful black and whites out of the box. Just click that black and white mode and they are perfect, perfectly neutral. So there is a little bit of there's less work to do with the Pro300. But excellent printers, both fantastic. Now, if you were doing a lot of prints that required that big, vibrant colour, then the Pro200 will be perfect for you. I'm still a little bit on the fence with it, and if I would actually go for it, I think if I had the money, or I'd wait until I had enough money for the Pro300, to be honest, just because of that archivability, that perfect black and white, because most of my work is in black and white, so I'd want that I'd want that capability, and if I can keep everything as simple as possible, even better. Well, I hope that's been useful, and as always, please let me know if you have any questions on the videos as well. Now, at the start of the video, I did promise you a voucher code, which is FSYouTube15, which will give you 15% off Fotospeed papers. Also, for all the US viewers out there, please remember there is a flat rate shipping fee of $9 to the US. You will be liable to any taxes and import duties in your own state, so please bear that in mind when ordering. But hopefully that's given you something to think about on the Pro300 and Pro200, or maybe not. But have an amazing week, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.